and ran accidentally attracted a swarm of wasps while sawing a tree stump, so she ran out waving the chainsaw. As a result, the college students who were out having fun mistook her for a chainsaw maniac, and they all took off running for their lives. Unexpectedly, one boy happened to run along the same path as the man, so while one was desperately trying to escape a killer, the other was frantically fleeing from the wasps. But soon the boy realized that the other person wasn't actually chasing him, and the man also looked confused. However, before the boy could figure it out, he was impaled through the abdomen by a tree branch. Yeah, even in death, he would never know that the other person was just trying to escape a swarm of wasps. In the end, Dazhuang returned home with his face covered in swollen bumps, and he told his buddy Xiaopang about what had just happened. Because today or something, he was running like a bat out of hell. Meanwhile, the students who had fled arrived at the scene where their classmate had died. They mistakenly believed that their classmate's corpse was a warning deliberately left for them by the killer. Enraged, the college students decided to split up and take revenge for their friend. On the other side, to prevent the branches from hurting anyone again, Dazhuang threw them all into the crusher to be pulverized. By coincidence, this scene was witnessed by the college students who had come for revenge. Remembering the tragic death of their classmate, one of the boys pulled out a small knife and, taking advantage of Dazhuang's distraction, rushed at him, only to end up diving headfirst into the crusher himself. Frightened, Dazhuang hurriedly tried to pull him out. This scene was witnessed by a female student nearby, who thought that yet another classmate had been brutally murdered by the killer. When Dazhuang finally managed to pull the boy out, only half of his body remained. Meanwhile, Xiaopang was digging a pit with the girl to build a toilet, but they were spotted by some college students hiding in the distance. The students mistakenly thought the girl was being forced by the killer to dig her own grave, and the student in green couldn't help but rush out. Who would have thought that on the way, the student tripped over a rock and fell right into the pit, accidentally getting stabbed by a wooden stick. Xiaopang in the pit was so frightened he almost lost control of his bladder and bowels. Afterwards, Xiaopang carried the injured Xiaomei, whom he had accidentally hurt, back into the house. Just then, Dazhuang came running back. As soon as he entered, he said to Xiaopang, "Today I ran into a guy who wanted to die. While I wasn't paying attention, he secretly jumped into the crusher himself." Xiaopang replied, "I also met a guy who wanted to die. As soon as he saw the pit I dug, he couldn't wait to jump in himself." After sharing their stories, Dazhuang concluded that these students had come here to commit group suicide, so he decided to put away all the tools in the house. At that moment, Xiaopang said, "They're ruthless. They won't even spare their own companions." Hearing this, Dazhuang felt uneasy, thinking that if these students could harm their own friends, then they themselves weren't safe either. So, Xiaopang thought about calling the police, but Dazhuang stopped him, because there were bodies everywhere at the scene, and both of them were covered in blood. If the police saw them like this, there was no way they could explain themselves. Little did they know, the students outside had already called the police in advance. Just as the two of them were dragging the bodies away to dispose of them, they ran right into a police car coming their way. As the officers got out of the car, Xiaopang hurriedly tried to explain that he had just bought this vacation cabin, only to have a group of college students come here to commit mass suicide. However, after hearing this, the officer felt they were just trying to fool him, and angrily put his hand on his belt, ordering the two brothers into the house for questioning. Once inside, the officer originally wanted to put on a show of authority. Are you scared? Afterwards, the officer, head covered in blood, ran to the car's front to call for backup. Before he could say, he suddenly dropped dead right in front of the students. The college students in the car were terrified. They never expected the killer would dare to murder a police officer. Seeing this, Xiaopang immediately blamed Dazhuang, saying his fault for not fixing the post sooner, which led to the innocent officer's death. As the two argued, Huang Mao got out of the car, took the gun, and strode over to kill them. It was the boy's first time trying to shoot someone, but the gun didn't fire. Xiaopang reminded him he hadn't disengaged the safety. The boy then pointed the gun at himself and fumbled with it. Watching yet another classmate die, Huan Mao, who had been hiding in the distance, couldn't hold back any longer and rushed over, picking up the handgun on the ground and firing wildly. While the two brothers were trapped in the house, the students captured the dog and used it as a hostage, demanding to exchange the dog for Xiaomei's release. The brothers had no idea what was going on, but they knew they had to save the dog. After discussing their plan to rescue the dog, Xiaopang